What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in on today's video. Today's video is part 2 of our FFS Far From Stock DIY radius arm kit that we installed on the daily here. So we're going to be completing this. The bars are back from powder coat, and we're going to be going over the installation process of getting the bars on there, and then eventually this truck will have to go to the alignment shop. That way we can verify that our caster setting is back into spec, and we can make sure that the center of axle positioning is proper as well, which we can now adjust with our new bars up front. So now, unfortunately, I didn't get a whole lot of recording done as far as installing, but it's super simple, guys. You have 3 bolts. You got one here, one there, and one back here. So this is at the frame, and then this is up on your axle. Now, I will say that we did support, we had both tires off. We supported the axle with a couple of jacks, and then we had jack stands supporting the frame. So we could basically manipulate the axle up and down while having the frame supported. So that will be a key part, because we did have to drop the axle down quite a ways in order to get our bars both in there. Now, as far as hardware goes, you're going to reuse these 2 bolts. So both of these 2 bolts, one side, which I believe is on the driver's side, the nut is welded on. That's no big deal because you can't reuse this back bolt. So you can just steal the nut, and you'll have plenty of hardware to bolt the front of both of the radius arms to the axle. Now, for the rear here, the heim joint is actually going to go in place of where this goes. And that heim joint is standard 3/4 inch. So you will need to go get a 3/4 inch bolt, a couple of washers, a lock washer, in order to install that. We did not have to drill out the frame rail, or the bracket, I should say. But yeah, all these bolts are metric. And like I said, you can reuse the metric ones down here, but you have to go get a standard 3/4 inch for up here. That way it's not sloppy inside of your heim joint. The second one you'll have to get is, so our second bar that goes basically from here forward is 9/16. So you will have to get hardware for that. So we are underneath the truck here on the driver's side, and you can see how we ended up installing this. What I decided to do, primarily because we needed easy adjustability at the bottom, because we're raised up, because we're lifted, we needed to rotate the axle. Basically, we had to bring the top of the axle backwards, and the bottom of the axle, we had to push that forward. So instead of dropping our main point back here to adjust it, we just dropped it here, made our adjustments, and we were able to lock that back in. Now, like I said, this bolt is a 3/4 inch standard bolt, and that is because this heim is 3/4 inch. So it's got a really decent snug fit going into our heim, but then also, we also did not have to drill the hole out in this bracket. This 3/4 inch bolt went in, it's snug to our heim joint. Far From Stock does send you with a spacer to go in between here as well. So you have to install that. We installed it on the inside. And then down here, we have our 9/16 inch bolt that we had to get as well, because this is a 9/16 standard heim joint. Other than that, like I said, front bolts are factory, as well as the nuts on the back side. Those are factory as well. Now, in Far From Stock's, some of their pictures, they show this longer bar on the bottom. A couple of things to mention here. One of the reasons I did this was for the adjustability, the ease of adjustability, so we can just drop this bar down, make our adjustment, and put it back in. Secondly, I did seem to cut the bars probably a little bit long. So we actually have this one pretty much screwed in all the way, and we have our lower bar pretty much screwed in all the way. So if we ever want to go higher with this truck, we will have tons of adjustability. But unfortunately, if we were to drop this truck back down, which I don't plan to do, these bars would not work. But because we are lifted, they fit in perfectly. And this will not only give us ease of adjustability, but this will also provide a little bit more ground clearance as well. Whereas if this bar, our top bar, was going to the bottom, we would lose some of that ground clearance coming through here. With this shorter one being on the bottom, we have a lot more ground clearance. It's closer to the tire, and so it's going to allow us to have the adjustability, the ease of adjustability, as well as the extra ground clearance. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you guys, which I'm super pumped about and happy we were able to get this taken care of, is take a look at our spring. Look how straight and beautiful she is all the way down. And so now we have centered our axle. We are now centered, and we have our caster back into spec. So now we are going to be able to utilize the full potential of our Carli 2.5-inch springs, nice and straight. If you guys remember, in part 1 of this video, we had a nasty curve on the spring. So like I said, this is why we went with the Far From Stock DIY radius arms. This gives us the adjustability that we needed so that we could recenter that axle, get our caster setting into spec, and be able to utilize the full potential of our new Carli coil springs. So we still need to tighten everything up, tighten up all the hardware. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we can pull this thing out and we can get a full look at everything, because now we got the rear traction bars powder coated white, the front control arms powder coated white. It's going to look killer. I'm pumped. Let's get everything snugged up. We'll pull it out. Well, guys, after doing a little bit of a torture test, you saw we were ripping down some dirt roads, hitting all the bumps. I can say that the ride quality has significantly improved. The bump compliance is a lot better than what it was before. Now, I don't know if that is because the springs are now straight up and down. I think that has something to do with it. Or if we were able to get our caster setting pretty close. But yeah, the bump compliance, the overall ride quality has significantly improved. I mean, a noticeable difference in how the truck rides, which is always a bonus, especially in these heavy-duty pickups. So I'm super happy, super stoked, and we are going to be able to get this thing over to the alignment shop. We're going to have to kind of show them how to adjust these bars, but hopefully we can dial it in and get it perfect. And yeah, this is exciting. This is cool. They look absolutely killer underneath the truck with our rear traction bars and stuff. Super happy about how the look came out, and nothing broke, so that's a huge bonus as well. So moving forward, guys, we have some other things we're going to be doing to the daily. We've got some bumper action coming up here pretty soon, front and rear. And then, yeah, as you guys know, this thing's rusty, so we do have some rust stuff we're going to be taking care of, like the bed, fenders, doors. Yeah, pretty much the whole truck. But we are going to be getting that stuff taken care of as well. And for those of you that have stuck through to the end of this video, race truck update is coming out very soon. It's going to be exciting. Stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in on today's video, guys. Make sure if you guys are new, make sure you're subscribing, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and we will see you guys in the next video.